what do you do? Where do you go to that place when you see all those negative comments? What is going through your head? How are you navigating that into a positive, into empathy? What's practically going on in your head?
One, it's a blend of a couple things. Hey, maybe they caught something I said. First, it's accountability. Hey, maybe I didn't do a good job explaining something on a podcast and it turned that person off. Hey, maybe we didn't edit an Instagram clip well enough and the context was lost, even though I write the copy always to like set up the video. Maybe they didn't read the copy. Maybe I fired their best friend and they thought I was unfair because their best friend didn't tell them the whole picture. Maybe, I go through those series of things, and then I go into the macro. Maybe they're unhappy and, they just want to tear somebody down today and I just happen to be in the feed that day. Maybe they took my advice of being patient and it was too patient and they lost and they're like, fuck Gary Vee, and they don't want the accountability. It's more fun to point the finger. So for me, first I focus on pointing my thumb at myself. What have I done to make people misunderstand or maybe misconstrue? When everybody tries to say that I talk about overworking yourself and hustle porn, I'm like, man, I didn't do a good enough job in my early career to talk about this was contextual to the time. The economy collapsed. People were out of jobs. People were hurting. The internet was exploding. It was a huge opportunity. And even though I talked about being happy and doing it for $50,000 a year, if it makes you happy, for some reason, maybe my Jersey energy, maybe because I didn't do a good enough job clarifying along the way, maybe I let that word hustle get too attached to me and didn't, I still love hustle. It's called work ethic. Nobody's gonna fucking do anything without work ethic. It's not gonna happen in a meaningful way. But that doesn't mean I'm talking about burnout or suicide or unhappiness. As a matter of fact, the reason I think I talk about so much of not doing it for the cars and the rides and the jewelry and the trips is because I think that usually means people want affirmation from others that they've made it. And that if you care about other people's opinions that way, you become very vulnerable. And I don't want that for people because that's what leads to unhappiness, because there's always gonna be somebody richer, more famous, prettier, bigger car. You know what I mean? You get into this cycle. So, and by the way, the other place I go, my friend, I don't expect everybody to consume 19 hours of my content and have every T and I crossed. There's a reason that people that have more consumption of my content feel better about it because they've been able to see it contextualized versus somebody seeing 3 viral videos ever and deciding that's who I am. So what goes through my mind is they're right because they're a human being and that's their opinion. And I've got to do a better job clarifying. I didn't talk about the fact in the first 10 years of my career that my dad owned Wine Library and I didn't, because I felt like, to be frank, to be very transparent, I felt like, man, I really built a huge business for my dad and I left, and I didn't want people to think my dad was a bad guy. I knew that a lot of Americans don't know about immigrant family businesses where, I didn't want my dad to look bad that I built something for $40 to $60 million and I got nothing. Woe is me. Oh my God, Sasha's such a dick, fucking child labor. I didn't want that. So I overprotected him. But then that led to people being like, don't listen to this guy who's handed everything. I'm like, fuck that, I'm the reverse. I gave up the first 15 years of my career to build something for my dad, but still someone else. And I had to start VaynerMedia in a fucking conference room because I had no fucking money. So that shit.